everybody, and welcome back to Movie Files. Elliot here, back with another recap / review for the latest episodes of Game of Thrones. In last night's episode 3, we all knew about it. It was the big episode they've been talking about, and that episode was called The Long Night, directed by Miguel Sapochnik, if I'm saying that right. He directed Hard Home and Battle of the Bastards and directed this episode tonight, obviously. So 122 minutes of pure epicness, and we'll talk about all that. I'll give you guys my pros, my cons of the episode, and overall my score for the episode. So before I get into that, guys, definitely do me a favor if you haven't already subscribed to our channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to stay up to date with our latest movie reviews, TV reviews, trailer reactions, unboxing videos for the new releases, and also giveaways to show our appreciation to you all. So definitely subscribe to our channel. And also, with this being such a huge undertaking, such a huge episode, again, 122 minutes, do me a favor, guys. I want you guys to comment below. Let me know your overall thoughts of the episode, the biggest surprises, the deaths. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments so we can build some dialogue around that. But with that being out of the way, guys, let's jump into this review for Game of Thrones. Alright, so as my formats that I've done in the last 2 episodes, my recaps, I just kind of dive into the episode, talk about, the highlights, what I like, what I didn't like. So let's just jump right into it. So first thing first, we start off in the episode, we see Sam with the dragon glass. He's nervous, his hands are shaking. We see Tyrion, has to go in the crib and it really doesn't want to. And we just get an idea, they're just setting the scene. Everyone's nervous. We see Grey Worm, we see all of our favorite characters getting prepared for what's to come. And then kind of slowly, wrapping into the episode again. We're preparing for war. We're getting everyone ready, and then we see, that Rocky is kind of the first line of defense, and we see someone walking up slowly. In my head, I'm immediately thinking, okay, is this the Night King? Is this I don't know? Is this their, the Stark's cousin, Brandon, I believe his name was, that we thought died, and I believe he's dead now. But I was like, who is this walking up? And as soon as it got a little bit closer, I saw the hood. I'm like, that's a woman. That's the Red Woman, Melisandre. And we see her come up. She casts a spell on the Dothraki's swords to light the flames. She says that, and we see, what she does there. And, she's not welcome. Last time we saw her, why she was banned in the way. So we see that happen, and I'm like, okay, we might have some momentum. We might have some good luck on our side. And was I wrong? So we see the Dothraki. They have their swords lit on fire. They're charging in to the White Walkers. First off, we don't see any of the White Walkers. We just assume they're there. We see Ser Jorah leading the Dothraki to the White Walkers, and then we see them walking up, and then they have this beautiful shot of the Dothraki and all their flames. Just kind of, you see like a black figure, like a whole row of black figures, and we see the lights. Their swords just slowly disappearing. And at that moment, I'm like, okay, we're in for something very special. So we see Khaleesi and Dany and Jon are looking over the battle. And you could tell they had a strategy, that they was probably going to wait to see what's going on. But obviously, Khaleesi does not want to see her Dothraki die and see her people perish. So I think they kind of abandoned. I think they had a game plan. They were going to see what went down first and then use the dragons. But I believe Khaleesi, very similar to Jon Snow with Battle of the Bastards, he kind of was drawn into war, drawn into first blood because he saw what happened to his brother, and he just kind of charged without kind of taking the strategies they had planned. I believe Khaleesi did the same thing, and as soon as we see that, we see the Unsullied coming up next, and from there, all hell breaks loose. That's one of the things I'm going to, there's so much going on in this episode, but I just want to give my overall thoughts. So we see the walkers just come and cross the Unsullied, and it's just mayhem, and they're just laying people out, slaughtering people. I mean, very reminiscent of World War Z, some zombie apocalyptic vibes that I got from that, because they were just rushing, they were relentless. Obviously, we've seen the walkers before, but not to this degree, this scale, and it was just literally from that moment on when I saw the White Walkers, or the walkers, I should say, or the whites as they call them, just attacking the Unsullied. I'm just like, I don't know how they're going to win. And then we get various shots of Brienne and Jaime at multiple times, which is a little bit of a nitpick to me, and I'll get to that a little bit later, where there's like, we cut to all these scenes, and it seems like they're getting attacked, they're getting bitten, they're getting ripped apart at times, but then they still, they were managed to stay alive within the episode, but it was just a very interesting way how they cut those moments where it seemed like they were overwhelmed, but they were able to kind of retreat at times. In the midst of all the battling within the first 20 minutes, they cut between, Tyrion and Sansa in the crypts, and they kind of say, the most heroic thing, as Sansa says to Tyrion, for us to do is to stay here because we can't fight. You know, we're gonna die if we're up there. Because Tyrion really wanted to be up there. He had mentioned his battle, resume with the Battle of the Blackwater and all that stuff. But it's just like, Tyrion, no, you don't need to be up there, man. Because if we do win this war, we need you, with Khaleesi and coming up with a good strategy towards the Iron Throne. So, I love that the show intertwined the battle sequences and then having those quieter moments at times with our characters. Because literally this episode was literally like 80 plus minutes worth of battle scenes, and I was on the edge of my seat the entire episode. So kind of, going back to where we're at the battle, there was points that we thought we were winning. They light up the trench. We had Melisandre light the trench up because at this point the White Walkers had cast some snowstorm that caused the dragons to not blow their fire. So we get, again, this is like a roller coaster. We were winning, not winning, but we had some good momentum and then down momentum and good momentum again. So they were able to light the trench, and you think they were able to catch their breath, right? Like I'm doing right now, hyperventilating and talking about this episode. So we see that, and then we see the Night King finally appear on the dragon and kind of lays. And by the way, the Night King, all of the shots were incredible when the Night King was on the scene. So we see him kind of lay his hand down, and he kind of commands the whites to, sacrifice their bodies on the fire, and we see what that does. It causes them to cross past the trench, and that's where we really get some World War Z vibes, where we see the whites climbing on top of each other. We see Jaime and Brienne and all of them kind of, and Gilly, or not Gilly, but we see them, knocking off the White Walkers off the wall. Gendry, we see him and doing that, and it's just like, how are they gonna win? I'm literally watching this episode like, this is gonna be a slaughter. I think everyone's gonna die. But again, we get more momentum. We see Khaleesi finally. The dragons are able to use their fire. They're killing off the White Walkers. But then we get to the point where they're in Winterfell. They're in the actual castles, and from there, I enjoyed the episode up to that point, and I'll get to my biggest problem with this episode. But the best parts of the episode is when Arya started getting involved. For me personally, my favorite character, I love Jon Snow, but next to Jon Snow, Sansa and Arya are like neck and neck for me. Woo! Arya is such a badass, guys, and I don't know, you guys all know this. You've watched the season, seeing her progression from the little girl training, with the wooden swords to now being an assassin, and just seeing her, wield the weapon that Gendry built for was just so epic and so awesome. And then we see the moment that really took this episode to the next level for me, and probably one of my favorite scenes as far as just suspense and scariness and horror elements. When we see Arya in the library, guys, that is literally ripped out of a horror film, and I was literally scared. Like, I was like, this is so tense felt, and then we see her like creeping around the corners, and there's walkers, and it is just so many good vibes in that moment. Because again, I'm a big horror fan, so I love that. And she stabs the White Walker in the neck, and she goes into the next room. So awesome. And then in the midst of all that, again, guys, there's so much going on in this battle, pure epicness. We see dragons fighting each other. We see the Night King fall off of his dragon after Khaleesi and Jon were able to get, to kind of win that particular war, which I don't know if both dragons lived. You let me know in the comments, guys, if both dragons lived. I'm not sure. I know one of them did because we saw that moment at the end. But that was such a great shot. Whenever they were up above the sky, some of the stuff in the clouds were very hard to see. And that's really my biggest problem with this episode. It was so hard to see what was going on. I know that the money they spent on this episode, the choreography and the fighting sequences, the extras, the cast, the directors, everyone put their heart and soul and blood in this episode. But I have to say, it was so hard to see some of these great moments because it was so dark and it wasn't well lit. I mean, obviously, you can't light something like that with light because it'll obviously kind of be hard to shoot. But that was my biggest issue with this episode, was it was just so hard to kind of see what was going on. Everything was going so fast paced, and it was just, I don't know if it was the color grading or how they edited it towards the end, but it was just very hard to see. But again, once we get the dragons in the skies, some of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen in Game of Thrones. Kind of wrapping up this review here, guys. I mean, we get Arya in the crypts, or not in the crypts, but we see what happens in the crypts. That and I'm kind of fast forwarding, but we see the Night King falls off his dragon. Jon Snow's chasing him, and he rises the dead. What a moment, right? And we see him rising the dead, means that he's rising the dead in the crypts. I was praying that we wasn't gonna get Ned Stark coming and attacking Sansa. They didn't do that, but the people in the crypt did rise and took out some of the people down there. We see Tyrion and Sansa kind of defend the people down there. But we see Jon trying to get to the Night King because he has to protect Bran. We see Daenerys kind of fall off her dragon, and she has to fight for herself, which was pretty cool to see. We see, we lose some characters, obviously. We lose Jorah, which was really sad. We lose Beric. We lose Theon, obviously, which was just such a great payoff for him. He's home. Him and Bran were able to share that moment. And he tells him he's a good man, which I thought was a very noble way to go out. We lose Ed. We lose some really good characters, but we didn't lose our main characters. No disrespect for those characters I just mentioned, but we didn't lose Brienne. We didn't lose Jaime. We didn't lose Jon. We didn't lose Daenerys or Sansa or Tyrion or Arya. So I was glad we didn't do that. But going back to Arya, we get the moment. We see the Night King approaching Bran. Theon dies. Very noble moment there. But Melisandre tells Arya, and also the whole thing with the Hound and all that. Again, everything in the library and actually in the castle is epic. But Melisandre, they have that moment where they know each other. She tells her red, blue or brown eyes, and blue. And that's where he says, "We're not." What do we say when we look death in the face? Not today. We see Arya run off, and then fast forward again. We see Bran and the Night King. The Night King's about to pull out his sword. One of the walkers kind of hears something, and Arya, because she knows that castle in and out, guys. This is her home, so she knows how to sneak around people. I know some people are probably complaining, how is she able to sneak past them? This is her home. She knows all the secrets, and she's a ninja. She's an assassin, guys. So we see her jump and attempting to kill the Night King, and what a badass moment. He's choking her. She grabs by the way, the Valyrian knife that was started the whole season with, that was the sword that Littlefinger had that was supposed to kill Bran. I love that they used that to kill the Night King. Arya is so badass this moment, such an epic moment. But also, let me go back to another young woman that did a great scene, which was Lyanna, when she has that moment with the giant. She kills him, so epic. She was such a great actress. She was supposed to be in one scene, and she was able to continue to have her moments and have her character in the show, and I love that. But when Arya kills the Night King, everything falls apart. All the people die. It's such an epic moment, guys. So again, I was a little bit all over the place, but my favorite moment was obviously Arya. We lost some very pivotal characters, which, like I said, Beric, Jorah, Theon, Lyanna, and Ed. So lost some good characters there. But the White Walkers are done, guys. So me personally, I'm okay with that because I personally enjoy more of the political aspect of Game of Thrones, the human elements of Game of Thrones. So now it's building up. We got 3 episodes left to really focus on Cersei, Westeros, the Golden Army versus Dany, and now half of her army. Because see, obviously that was the biggest thing. That was the point of this episode, was if they would have just came to Westeros with their crew, they would have easily won. They would have slaughtered Cersei and her crew. But now they're half their army's gone, more than half of their army's gone. So it'll be very interesting to see what the next few episodes are going to lend into. I love that the show is now positioned Cersei as the big bad and not the Night King. So we got a lot coming up, guys. I enjoyed this episode. 5 out of 5 for me. Again, my biggest complaint, even though it was so hard to kind of see where things were going, and it was so dark and it was hard to see what was going on, the cinematography was still phenomenal. The acting was great. The epic battle sequences, some of the best scenes I've ever seen on not only television, but cinema in general. That was just, it reminded me of Game of Thrones, or Lord of the Rings meets, Saving Private Ryan. So many great feels there. And then the horror elements that was thrown in. I mean, such a great episode. Again, kudos to Game of Thrones, stepping their game up, delivering the most epic episode I've seen in regards to battle scenes go. So next week, we're back at it, guys, and I'm excited. So 5 out of 5 for me. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this episode. Again, I thought it was epic. My biggest complaint, again, was just it was hard to keep track of what was going on, but that was, nevertheless, you still got some beautiful cinematography throughout the episode. So let me know what you thought of the episode. Of course, give this video a thumbs up. Share this video. Again, comment below. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Follow us on all of our social media accounts. Today's a pretty big day for us because not only are we dropping this video here, but we are also dropping our spoiler-filled review of Avengers Endgame, which took all the money in the world, which is awesome. So definitely keep an eye out for that video, dropping probably around the same time this video will be dropping. Thank you guys for watching this review. We will be back next week to talk about episode 4, and we'll also be doing some more trailer reactions, movie reviews, and all that fun stuff. So thank you guys for watching this review, and we'll see you in the next video.